Where do I put the rest?
On your cheeks, like just dab it. I like it. These shades just
There's a lot. I'll have a very blushy look today.
no, it looks nice though.
Man, look at this Rare Beauty lip oil. It has stained my hand.
I imagine that on your lips the whole day. This is so great for like weddings and stuff as well, like events. Like you don't have to reapply.
Okay, what are we doing today? We're doing like base products that look good on Indian
Bronze.
terms.
Yeah, brown skin friendly, like foundation concealers that work for us, and we'll mention shades.
I have a few that I think are good for it. I like have a lot of products that are fairly sheer that I think work
Mhm.
generally on Indian skin tones.
I have things that are quite full coverage
Okay.
that I don't use like on a daily basis, but when I do want to do my makeup routine and like go out, I know I'm taking like lots of pictures and I'm staying out the whole day. They are a little expensive, I'm not gonna lie, but they are base products, and I think that's something I do want to spend on. That's the base of your makeup,
I
like that's the
agree.
base of your face, like that's the most expensive, and then lips, eyes is where I go the cheapest.
Same. I just feel like, I mean, I do have like some lipsticks and things that are nicer, but generally like eyeliner, mascara, I never buy an expensive one, but I think your base is where you want to spend your money. You
And
want
I
like,
think that's what I did not do when I was younger. And it really, like some of those videos back then, I have a gray cast and it looks awful. Even now, I see a lot of Indians mainly wear foundations that are way too light for your skin. I would say go darker. Like it doesn't, you will look more glowy, you will look better. Like when you wear foundation that's too light for your skin, I don't know, it's a ick for me.
I mean, someone who has practiced as a makeup artist briefly here and there, the amount of times I've noticed people like controversial to say. Oh, like let me give a simple instance. I did my sister's makeup for her wedding, and people were like, "Why aren't you making her wear? Like, why haven't you made her fair?" And I'm just like, "That's not the point of makeup." So I'm gonna say this: if you want that, great, but I don't think that's what we're gonna talk about today.
No, definitely not. Both of us like very natural, glowy, dewy looks. I'm going to start off by something I spoke about in a previous video, which is the sunscreen. I think this makes all the difference. I've been told, how do you look so glowy? What highlighter are you wearing? And I don't use highlighters. I don't have highlighters. It's just pretty much this under makeup. So this is the SuperGoop Glow Screen, and I use Golden Hour. I think they have 4 shades. And I think for Indian skin or brown skin, the medium two would work really well. So I know a friend of mine who bought a shade a little lighter than this, and it works great as well. I just like to give a little
Mm.
more like a dark, glowy base.
Bronzy. It's almost like a bronze.
Bronzy, yeah, almost like a bronzy. I don't mind looking darker. I prefer it almost. So I go for the golden hour shade. So this is what I wear under makeup. Like right now, I don't have any foundation. It's just spot conceal and this underneath it.
Tell me this, does it have like shimmer particles at all?
No,
None at all.
I would not use anything that has shimmer
No, I mean,
particles
I
in
don't
it.
mean like big shimmer. I mean, like
No,
very often these things have like really.
no. It doesn't have any shimmer in it. You won't even think that it's gonna give you a glowy base until you actually apply it. It's almost like an oil.
I'm gonna
It's
try.
not an oil, it's a sunscreen, but how it gives you the glow. Like imagine you put like a really glowy oil under it and that's shining through.
Kind of like Glossier Future Dew. Have you tried? That has
No,
that.
I haven't. I think you will like this.
Yeah, it does sound like something I would like because I like a lot of those sorts of products, but they've never been SPF. I'm gonna start with a glowy one as well. Oh, and I've used this so much that the labels literally fully come up. This is the Charlotte Tilbury. What is it called? I have to guess. I think
Flawless filter.
yes. Literally, you can't see like that's all that's left.
Oh my gosh, I've heard so much about this.
It's actually so good.
Do you
I
think it would replace this, or do you think it would add more glow if I need it? Or maybe that could be like a nighttime thing where I don't wear
It doesn't have
sunscreen.
any SPF. Yeah. I don't put this all over my face.
Okay.
I don't use it as like an all because I think it's a bit too much. And I don't like to have like a glowing like forehead, for instance, or like a nose. Like, so I will only use this on my cheeks. And because I don't tend to wear, I do have one foundation that I will talk about, but 99% of the time I'm not wearing foundation. I am just using concealer. So I use the shade 5 Tan. I think this shade is really good on most Indian skin tones because it's kind of sheer. It sheers out. It's not gonna like look too light if you're darker skin. If you're lighter skinned, like I think it's maybe even a little bit light for me or you even, but it still works because it's quite
Mm-hmm.
it adds this amazing sort of like it's literally like a filter. It adds this like layer of beautiful sheen. Yeah, I've used it on many skin tones when I've worked on people, and it looks so good. And everyone, it photographs beautifully. It doesn't feel tacky to touch or anything. I just think it's one of those things that I will always have. Like buy like this one, 5 Tan.
5 tan. Okay. Adding it to my list.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to speak about foundation next. Again, I don't use foundation that often, but if I do, it's one of these two. The first one is a very obvious one is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. I've had this for 2 years and I feel like I'm maybe halfway done with it. I use like a tiny pump of it and then use a beauty blender, but you can build it up. You
Mm.
can make this into a very good high coverage foundation. Thin layers, but it does the job. And the shade that I use is 7.75. If I had to recommend one foundation, it would be this one.
Do they do a concealer? Because then I would be interested in that. I like a high coverage
I
concealer.
have the concealer, I don't like it.
Oh shit.
I don't use that at all. And that's only because I've been spoiled by the concealer that I do use, which should I speak about as well?
Please
Like
do because
foundation.
I need a concealer recommendation.
Well, you know this because I've been using this, I don't know, like for the past 8 years probably, which is the NARS Creamy Radiant
Actually, maybe I
Concealer.
can.
I've used like so many concealers. I've recently tried the Hourglass concealer that people say is just as good as this or better. I've tried the Tower 28 like creamy serum concealer. Hated that. It's so patchy. It doesn't work on my skin. I did not like the Hourglass one either. Like just compared to this, nothing has stood up to how good this is
But are
for
you
me.
just under eyes as well as anywhere else? Or
Yeah, that's the two shades that I have. So I have caramel,
I
which I
didn't
use
I didn't even
for
question
spot.
why you have to. I was just like, yeah.
Yeah. So I have caramel, which works really well for like spot conceal and pretty much like around my mouth. But then brightening, I use Biscuit, which is pretty much just under my eyes. But yeah, this is the concealer I've been using for like, I would say 7 years, and
Mm.
nothing else has come close to it.
And I think the NARS range have like pretty good shade range. I don't know how dark they go and like how good those darker shades are. But
They
like for
go really dark. I would say this is even like in their mid range. They go quite dark. So this is a great one for like Indian skin.
amazing. I'm gonna do a foundation as well. This is the only foundation I do wear if I am ever wearing foundations, if I'm like doing like a full night out and I just want like a full look. I think I like to use foundation not so much for coverage. Yes, a little bit of coverage, but I always rely on concealer for coverage.
Yeah,
I think what a good foundation does, it sort of gives like an overall effect. Kind of like the
yeah,
shade Tilbury, but that's too glowy for me overall. So I
yeah.
almost like satiny overall, a bit more glowy on certain parts of the face, and then I can mattify the others. And for me, that has been for many years now, just the MAC face and body.
Oh, I haven't tried this.
It's very sheer, but it's so good. I don't know where you get this. I think you do get them everywhere. They used to be like famously hard to find. But at least in London, if you go to like the biggest like Mac store in like Carnaby Street, I think that's where I got this one from. They tend to have like all the like professional line. I think this is considered to be part of that, but it's honestly like the most like easy to use product. Just reflects light so nicely. It doesn't have any shimmer or anything in it. It just creates this very like delicious dewy sheen. And
Mhm.
the trick with this is to use your fingers. It's a bit messy to apply because it's quite watery and you have to like shake it.
Yeah,
And if you use a brush, it just doesn't. I feel like it has like something about it that with a brush, it just doesn't spread evenly. You need your fingers to sort of just like create like a thin layer. You can build it up a little bit and get a little bit. What happened to my voice?
Yeah.
I'm saying you can build it up a little and get a little bit more coverage from it, but it's fairly sheer, so you do need concealer. But this shade I have is C5, and then should I do a concealer as well?
Yeah.
I have a concealer that I like. Oh, but I don't. I mean, it's a good one, and I think it's a budget friendly one. This is the e.l.f. hydrating something. What is it?
Is
Hydrating
it Camo?
concealer. Yeah.
Oh, I've heard so much about it.
So this is the hydrating one. I think they have like two versions. I like this. It's nice. It does the job. I think it's better than I expected. I literally just bought it on a whim because I saw the shade range, and the shade range looked pretty good. And it's hard to find like drugstore
Mm.
concealer. So I was just testing and I saw this range and I was like, they look like they have many shades. And this was the shade medium medium beige. It's
Is
not
that
like
like a brightening one or all over face?
it is brightening. So if I use just this sort of to do any other concealing, it can look a little ashy. So it's
Hmm.
perfect under my eyes. I do have to set it, but I prefer that than something that's already very dry and like difficult. It's good if you're like, if you want something that's fairly like affordable. I think it's
Yeah.
pretty, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. But I do think that more than anything, Indian skin needs correctors. I'm not recommending you buy this particular thing, but I have like the full the full palette with like all the correctors.
Yeah. Oh
But
my gosh. Yeah.
you know, it's like a book. It has like two sides.
That must be the most expensive thing ever.
It cost me like on like a discount, I got it for like 300 pounds.
Oh my God. But then you needed it.
I needed it, and it is an endless. Even when I'm using it on myself, because I'm spoiled with this now, I don't use it on. I don't work with clients anymore, so I just use it for myself. Um,
Is
it's
there a way someone can get just like one shade or like four shades?
Yeah,
Okay.
so basically all of these are the correctors. This is what I use, and you can buy all of these individually. So I
Okay.
would
Then
say,
it's good enough.
yeah, I use a lot of them honestly, but mainly this one. So this is I think dark peach as
Hmm.
a corrector is brilliant. As an under eye corrector, as like a any other sort of bits that go gray normally. Even like these like shades like almond, golden, all of these shades, I think they're like some either they're correctors or concealers, but they all have enough sort of peach tones in them to correct before you conceal. And I feel like if you have something like this, you just have to put a little bit, and then you use like a cheaper concealer like the e.l.f. or something if you must. And
Yeah.
you're not using too much of this, you're just using a little, but it does the main job and it's more like
Yeah.
sophisticated as a texture. Yeah.
I haven't really gotten into using color correctors yet.
Oh, really? I had
But
something. The Bobby Brown I thought you had.
I
No?
don't think that was a color corrector. That was just a concealer. Um, that did work and I liked it, but I still went back to these concealers. I do think that you can do color correction with these as well, like if you buy the right shade. So
Mm.
under my eyes, I do go with the caramel first and then the biscuit. So it
Mm.
kind of does the job for me, where
Interesting.
it doesn't look ashy, doesn't
Oh,
look
because
like
it's a
I'm,
bit darker, is it?
yeah, because this is like my shade. It kind
Mm.
of evens it out, and then I go with the brightening one.
Yeah, I think sometimes like the most random things can do the trick. You just have to play around, but you can't expect to put like one shade all over and get the result because I
Yeah,
feel
definitely not.
our skin tones, they're just different. Every part of your face is kind of like a different shade. So you have to
Yeah.
try things.
I have setting powders because I think they're super important for me, especially under the eyes, but also all over my skin. So I have two that I really, really like. One is one that I've been using for the last 6, 7 years, which is the Laura Mercier setting
Yeah.
powder. And this one is in the shade Translucent Honey. So it's not like the completely translucent whitish powder that they sell as well. This works really well for my skin. Another setting powder that I was sent, but I think also I really, really love, maybe I like it even a little more than this, is the Huda Beauty
Oh, wow.
Easy Bake setting powder. And this is in the shade Blondie. So both of them are more like of a beige, honey toned,
They're like
warm toned powders that work for my skin because I have very like warm toned skin.
So they're both like loose powders. So you like a loose powder.
I like a loose powder at home when I'm done with my makeup, but these are not what I carry because obviously I'm not making a mess everywhere. What I carry in my bag when I'm going around to set is the bareMinerals original veil. I don't know what shade it is, but it's very
It's like a
uh,
translucent.
it's a translucent shade. So I know it looks weird that it's white, but obviously it doesn't come off at white. It's just translucent. This does a very good job of setting my face. And I've been using it for, I would say, a year and a half, and I've not even hit pan on it. But yeah, this works really well if you want something on the go, kind of to put in your bag to set through the day.
I have a setting powder too to finish, and this is my favorite setting powder. This is also Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Airbrush Flawless Finish setting powder.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with this is, I don't think it comes into many shades, which is a bummer. But this is the shade two.
Okay.
So they have like one which is light, then they have two which is medium, and then they have one that's darker. And this kind of looks light, like if
Yeah.
you put it against my skin, it looks light, but it doesn't. I mean, it depends. Like maybe if I cake this on, it will look darker. But again, I've used this on various Indian skin tones, and it tends to work. And I think if you go the shade darker, it should definitely cover you if you're a little bit darker even. It's sheer, it doesn't, it's not very heavy, and it is the most sort of nice, like finely milled powder that does not look powdery at all. When you apply it, it almost looks velvety. Something about Charlotte Tilbury base products are just so good. I don't know how they've done it, but
Yeah.
I really, really like this. And I think I don't even use powder very often, but like, especially now it's getting a bit warmer, I have to set a little bit,
Yeah.
especially under the eyes, and like anywhere I'm putting concealer, I find it's best to set because I don't use
Mm-hmm.
like products that are meant to like last for ages. I use
Yeah.
like things that will go off quite fast, so it helps to add a little bit of this.
So that's pretty much the base products that I use. I wish we were going out after filming all these videos like we used to for a meal and just chill and relax.
I
I
have
might go to Home Goods after this.
Oh, nice. What are you gonna get?
I need some extra plates and bowls for when my parents are here.